each other, will meet and will socialize, will network, and will work towards the effective, continuous professional development. And today with us, we've got Lucyna Wienkiewicz-Górniak, who's a senior lecturer of business communication and business English and languages center in Krakow, University of Economics. And Lucyna is also very active and very creative member of IETFL Poland. And Lucyna is very active, especially in business English, in the business English SIG. Recently, she co-organized the BSIG conference in Krakow, and now is going to tell us about the importance of personal and professional learning network. This is especially important because, as I told you, soon we are going to meet in Krakow. So I'll just would like to remind you that just right now you can check the program of IETFL Poland conference. I will very quickly send you the link to this website. This is ietfl.org.pl/conference. You can see it in a chat box. So please check what best things you would like to check during this fabulous 28th conference. And now let's simply start with Lucyna telling us how to make the best use of the conference, which is going to be soon, in a week's time. Remember, 28th IETFL Poland conference in Gdańsk from 20th to 22nd of September. And now, over to you, Lucyna.
Thank you, Marcin. I would like to welcome very warmly all the participants of this webinar. I've been organizing webinars for a while already. Last year was the first year when we had regular webinars at IETFL Poland, but I haven't had my own webinar, so I'm a bit nervous today. But, you know, my method of overcoming stress while standing in front of people and speaking in public is imagining that at the other side of the screen, there are people like me willing to cooperate and willing to share the positive energy. So the title of today's webinar is The Importance of Personal and Professional Learning Networks. Yes, that depends how many of them we use and what we are talking about, whether we take into consideration a single person or a team of people. And we like working in teams. IETFL people do it a lot in the process of effective, continuous professional development. So we want to develop continuously, and we would like this process to be effective because of the fact that change is fast and our time is limited as well. Okay, so let's move on to the next slide. Wait a minute. Right. Wait a minute. Something is wrong with this. Okay, here it goes. I would like to start by telling you why I have decided to prepare this webinar. In fact, I wasn't going to have a webinar myself. That came at the last meeting that we had in Warsaw for IETFL staff. Two of our colleagues came up to us and they said that they wanted to have a project, to have an opportunity to present this project at our annual conference about networking. And these people are Ola Kledzik and Ewa Grzelak, and they will be present at our, we said that was a very good idea because, as you can see at the top of this slide, IETFL Poland is all about networking. Yes, so we try to network in a positive way with people who are professionals like us all over the world. And today's webinar proves this, because we really do have a very nice, positive network of people from all over the world. Okay, so wait a minute, just a moment. Okay, here on the next slide, you see some of the keywords for individualized professional development. Whenever I talk to my colleagues, I suggest some ideas, but this is not an exhaustive list or an exhaustive checklist. So we need to be networked to be able to develop professionally. We need to be networked. We need to interact with each other, because only interacting with each other, we can create this synergy effect and improve our skills, our knowledge, and also our networking possibilities in the process of continuous change that takes place in our whole lives. So this way we achieve effective learning, because as you will see on one of the consecutive slides, to be a good teacher, you have to be a good learner. So we are professionals collaborating, but that's not everything. Yes, there may be some more ideas, and I'm sure that every single person participating in this webinar would come up with a similar or even more exhaustive checklist for individualized professional development, because every single person has their own model of professional development. And this is what we are expected to do. So we start with the concept of lifelong learning, and this is considered to be the most important notion in the creation of professional networks. If we feel like learning all the time, like developing our skills, then we will be able to create our networks, and we will be willing to do so. The concept of change, yes, change is present all over us, and therefore we have to be ready for this change. But that's not enough, yes? So something that I understood at some stage of my professional development was the fact that we are not only to catch up with changes, but we are the ones who create changes. And once I understood it, I wasn't afraid of bringing up my own ideas and sharing them with other colleagues, because only this way I could test the value of these ideas that were on my mind. So the potential of technological change is another notion. Technology changes really fast. And I'm sure that many of us have this feeling that we cannot catch up with ever-changing technology. We cannot catch up with all the changes that take place in this area. But variety is the key to success. Because while using technology, that is my key in my classroom, while using technology in my classroom, I try to use those elements which, first of all, are useful, which are also at my level of technological advancement, and also are meaningful and not very time-consuming. Let me give you an example. In my lessons, I use lots of technology, but I don't use Moodle platform. Why? It's not because I'm lazy, but because I found it a bit too time-consuming to prepare all those quizzes and exercises on Moodle platform. So at this point, I decided to compose my technological portfolio with exclusion of Moodle platform. But maybe, of course, I have discussion forum for my students. That is obvious. Although I combine two versions, because not always students want to discuss everything in public. So I use email, yes, so that we can have this individual communication when they can talk to me without including other students from their group. But I also use this Moodle platform for topics which are interesting for all of my students. So I haven't excluded it completely, but I feel that for me, with my level, it's too time consuming. So I use other methods. What is CPD? As you can see, I am using the definition which was available on the web page of British Council, and I would like, at this point, I would like to encourage you to check for yourselves the materials available on this web page. They have a very good set of materials. They have very useful, both from the theoretical and the practical point of view, and helpful. So planned, continuous, lifelong process in which we develop our both personal and professional qualities by improving our knowledge, skills, and practice, yes, so practical experience. And this way we are able not only to have this feeling of the process of the professional development taking place for us, but also the feeling of helping our students or pupils, as you wish. So, as you can see, the key words in this continuing professional development, the key areas, are knowledge, practice, and skills. So this is what we have to concentrate on while networking with other colleagues. So as I said before, my infographics, which I prepared, I believe, by the way, I believe in the power of visual communication, and that is also one of the areas of my interest. So to be good teachers, we first have to be good learners. So teaching and learning are just like two sides of the coin. And this is supported by John Hattie, my guru in the area of visible learning, that the greatest effects on student learning occur when teachers become learners of their own teaching. This is not only my opinion. And here I am. Another infographics which I prepared from my other presentation in the process of education. Yes, so that's how complicated it is. I'm faced with a range of novelties, and I try to control this whole situation, which is uncontrollable. So I try to choose, so I make up my mind to choose some of those elements which will build my own structures for the process of teaching and learning at the same time. And as you can see, there is the whole variety of problems here. So there are different systems facilitating CPD. Is it a problem, or is it a useful thing? Yes, because if there are so many different systems, we can choose the ones that are good for us. Variety of ideas coming from the whole range of sources also could be considered to be some kind of opportunity rather than problem. Information overload. This is a difficult area, and this is something that we all have to work on, and we have to prepare our students to be ready for this information overload and teach them use information of value, which is not so obvious in this contemporary world. Problem with quality of information. That is something that I try to teach my students, that you shouldn't use all sources, just click and paste, but you should choose. Yes, and we are the ones who are expected to, or supposed to, help them make their choices. There is time pressure, there is constant change. So we are on the run, simply speaking. And the solution is we need to design and continuously update our own professional development portfolio. It will be different for every single person. The key idea is that when we design it, we have to choose methods of teaching and technology which is appropriate for our level of competence, preferences and needs. As soon as I discovered it myself, I became a happy teacher. As soon as I discovered that the problems of my students, that they come up to me, are not problems but challenges for me to develop my professional portfolio, my life became much more joyful, my teaching life. So the question is, why personalized professional development? And as you can see here, you have a very nice checklist which I took from one of the networks for professional development. You have the link at the top. We connect the most. I'm not going to read all these elements. You can, this is for you to reflect upon, maybe after the webinar. But the most important element that I am having here is connect educators with each other and to professional learning networks. Yes, so we get together, and this way we can run faster in this ongoing race. And so now a few words about my case. Yes, so my personal learning network, just to let you know what I do. And your homework from this webinar will be to sit down and try to think, so what is my personal learning network? Just a few words. I'm distinguishing here in this webinar between professional learning networks and personal learning networks. Professional learning networks is what is offered to us all around the world, both in a traditional version, face-to-face version, but also in e-version. And from these professional learning networks, we make our choice, and we prepare our own personal portfolio, which I call personal learning network. So my personal learning network is composed of the following elements. I'm enumerating some of them here. So first of all, I have forums for our professional group. For example, Professional English Teachers Network. This is one of the forums where I belong on LinkedIn. We will talk about social forums in a moment. Then materials for our professional group. Materials which are available on the web, but we have to know which ones are of value. So I enumerate here materials offered by Edutopia and TED Talks, real materials and e-materials. But I would like to say that I am talking about these big networks. At the organization where you work, at school, wherever you work, because I assume that some of you are from public schools, some of you are maybe from private schools, some of you have their own teaching activity. You also can create your own networks, and that's what we do at Krakow University of Economics. We are very well networked, and we share. Yes, we share materials, we share learning process, and that helps a lot. Believe me, it helps a lot, because you have this minimum model. You don't, even if you don't do anything outside your teaching activity at the university, you feel that being a part of this team, you are also involved with learning activities, not just teaching. Your teaching is not left hanging in space, but you are taken care of, and you can use an opportunity to learn with others, with your colleagues. Besides, it has an additional value, because we meet in this positive environment where we all strive at achieving professional competence. And we get together and we see each other. Because once you are in the classroom and the door in your own classroom and the door closes behind you, nobody sees you. Yes, just your students. So sometimes you are uncertain whether what you're doing in the classroom is up to the standard, and how would your colleagues react to it. So we are given this opportunity to share our experience, teaching methods, our knowledge, and our skills as well. The next notion, the next possibility are webinars. And I personally participate in series of webinars from all over the world, and some of the networks that I'm going to enumerate later on, and they will be on the slides, on the consecutive slides, are also the ones that offer very interesting webinars. So I have enumerated here IATEFL. I started by, as far as IATEFL is concerned, I started by participating in webinars of IATEFL World. But so then later on, I figured out that why not having our own webinar series, and that's how I started this webinar section for IATEFL Poland, and we are going to continue these activities in this academic school year. Here I have Partnership for 21st Century Skills, ASCG, and so on. I will talk about these organizations, these websites later on, so no need to develop this idea. Then, of course, teachers' associations, like IATEFL Poland. And then social forums. And here I would like to reflect, make a personal reflection on how I use social forums. I use LinkedIn for my professional activity, and I make available there materials which I study myself and I find useful for myself and hopefully my colleagues. So if you feel like linking with me, please find me on LinkedIn, and I will be more than happy to have this feeling of purposeful activity. Yes, that when I put some of the articles, some of the links, some of the materials on LinkedIn, then there are people who are willing to use some of them, of course. On Facebook, I am more private. Yes, so I am linked in with my colleagues from school as well, but in the private area. That's the way it works for me. Of course, it doesn't have to be like this for everybody, but I'm just presenting to you one of the possible options. On Twitter, I make some of the materials available, especially for my colleagues from abroad, because Twitter is not so popular among Polish people. It's popular among Polish politicians, and maybe that's the reason that other people don't want to use Twitter. Who knows? Have a look at Pinterest also. Very useful for visual communication. All kinds of infographics are available there, and I have my account there, and there are 40 plus boards concerning professional development, professional vocabulary, project method. All areas of my interest are there. So if you feel like searching through Pinterest and finding me there, you are welcome, and following me there, you are welcome to do so. On Instagram, in turn, I'm not so active. This is something that I have decided to be at, but maybe in future I will develop my activity there. Right now it is kind of at the sleeping stage. Then conferences, real conferences and virtual conferences. I would really very strongly like to encourage you to participate not only in real conferences but also in virtual ones. Why? Because they participating in a real conference, organizing a real conference is quite time-consuming, and that's why there are not so many of them. Virtual conferences are offered by IATEFL World, for example, also other organizations which I enumerate here at our university. There were some virtual conferences. Simply speaking, this is a very good opportunity to load our batteries. That's my feeling. Such was my feeling when I participated recently in one of IATEFL virtual conferences, because there is such load of information about our teaching on the whole, that really it is a very inspirational occurrence. So I encourage you to participate in these conferences. Then there are conferences organized by publishers, but publishers also have a broader activity. They have web pages where they offer materials. They organize webinars, conferences, where many of these webinars refer to their textbooks, but you can also develop your skills and your background information while participating in them. So it's always good to be in the know in the area of teaching. So I participate in them as well. And last but not least, two categories which are, in my opinion, the starting point of everything. So you go to your classroom, and what do you do there? In my classroom, I use project-based learning, project-based teaching and project-based learning. This is what I'm going to talk about at IATEFL conference in Gdańsk. Why? Because it develops knowledge, it develops skills of my students, and all the so-called 21st century skills are practiced simultaneously. And that's why, in my opinion, project-based teaching is the key to success in the area of contemporary teaching. And it should be used as early as in kindergarten. And it works. I used it with my students at Children's University, and it worked perfectly well. Another feature of my teaching in the classroom is this participatory learning, which is possible thanks to project-based learning, where students participate not only in activities offered by the teacher, but also in course design. Yes, so depending on their needs, in the process of ongoing needs analysis, I learn how I should adapt my syllabus to the needs and expectations of my students. And of course, they give me feedback. They are encouraged to give feedback, especially negative feedback, yes, because we are in a positive classroom, positive environment. So I encourage my students to come up to me as soon as something negative concerning our teaching learning process comes to their minds, and explain it with me immediately before it grows and makes our positive communication impossible. So simply speaking, we communicate all the time to improve our methods of teaching and learning at the same time as we exchange our roles. And also I try to reflect on my own achievements. How many of them are real achievements? How many of them are apparent achievements? Maybe I should change something. And I do it by presenting at all kinds of conferences and by writing articles about my teaching activity. So this is what I do. And now is the time for you to reflect. This is the question that I asked you. I'm sure that many of you have been using various methods of in the area of professional development, and I'm sure that many of you have much to offer, and that's why I would like to encourage you to write in comments what you use, and maybe after this webinar, we can create some kind of follow-up message sharing information about our professional portfolio. Not only me teaching you, but me learning from you. And that is what I enjoy most about teaching. Yes, that you are a constant learner. So the question is, how about you, my dear colleague? Do you use online tutoring and guided courses? What kind of information, data, and resources do you use? What kind of learning communities are you active in? What are your communication tools or knowledge building tools or expertise and authoritative resources and peers with common interests? These are just some of the ideas that I would like you to reflect upon, because and that's why the next slide goes like this. Yes, my own personal learning network. That is something that I would like to give you as your homework. Yes, so in the middle your photo, and all around your methods of developing your professional skills. If you were so kind to send it to us, then we could put it somewhere, maybe on our on our web IATEFL Poland website, in the section where we have webinar series. That would be very interesting, because that would change the notion of a webinar understood as somebody telling somebody else how they are doing things, into the process of exchange of own experience and ideas for teaching. So that I would be more than grateful if you could send such infographics to us, or maybe just some notes to let us, to let your colleagues, not us, all of us, know how you do it. I'm sure that it would be very inspirational. And now a few words about professional learning networks, as I said before. So here in the cloud, you can see that some of the ideas related to professional learning networks are advice, being connected, collaboration, professional connecting, and so on. So simply speaking, the three key words for professional learning networks is to connect, collaborate, and contribute. Yes, so not only do you learn from others, but you yourself figure out that you have something to offer. Were it not for the fact that I am so well networked as I assume I am, I wouldn't even know that some of the ideas which I use in the classroom are worth sharing with my colleagues, and are moreover are used in different versions by my colleagues. Yes, so I get inspired by them by contributing to this professional learning networks. As you can see, here you have example of a local network, which maybe is not so fascinating because there is not such a huge range of activities. But why have I included it here? Because the purpose of this slide is to inspire your process of thinking about creating such professional learning networks at the institutions where you work. As I said before, at Krakow University of Economics, we are very well, in Language Center, we are very well networked. When you go to the web page of the Language Center, you will see all kinds of materials which are available to teachers. And maybe that could stimulate your process of thinking about developing some, because I'm certain that everybody has such a network at the institution where you work. That there is no doubt about it. But maybe you could add some of the ideas that at present you are not using yet to your professional learning networks at the place where you work. Here is an example of an excellent professional learning network, EdWeb, and the motto of this, the mission of this network. EdWeb is highly acclaimed professional social and learning network that has become a vibrant online community for exceptional educators, decision makers, and influencers. And this is a unique feature of this network. This is an American network, but what is important for me as a teacher is the fact that I can get feedback from not only from other teachers, but also from the area, from the professional area, for which we all, since kindergarten, are in the process of preparing our students. I see that some other participants also use this network. Very interesting webinars. And you can always find something for yourself because of the range of webinars that they offer. Then another one, and on purpose, I highlighted the date when this network was founded, 1943. Yes, so that's how early the idea of networking was already implemented also in the United States, and that is Association for Supervision and Curriculum Development. Very, very useful one. There is a global leader, as you can see, in developing and delivering innovative programs, products and services that empower educators to support the success of each learner. Some of the ideas are the ones that maybe I wouldn't come up with were it not for the fact that I follow this network. And I also get smart brief from these networks where we have the newest articles, some of them interesting for me, some of them interesting maybe for other teachers, and I make some of them available on my LinkedIn profile. Okay, then the network which is close to my heart, Edutopia. That is the network which at the core of which there is this idea of positive networking and learning and teaching in positive environment. And that's what I like to have in my classroom, eliminating conflicts, solving problems as soon as possible. And that's why Edutopia is close to my heart. That is the leading voice, illuminating and showcasing what works in education. We show people how they can adopt best practices. Yes, best practices is the key phrase here. And we tell stories of innovation and continuous learning in the real world, but I would add here in positive environment. Very interesting materials, but also very interesting graphics there. So I encourage you to use this one as well. Now, some more examples. When some time ago, when I started thinking about what kind of skills and what kind of knowledge we try to give to our students, I was especially concerned about the variety of skills. And then I found a network which was Partnership for 21st Century Skills, an American network. Where I found a diagram, in my opinion, the most exhaustive diagram, presenting all those skills that we require from our students. So knowledge, what we teach, simply speaking, knowledge of core subjects, but also knowledge of the global issues, but also the whole variety of skills. And I used it for some of my presentations to make myself, to begin with, aware of what I'm supposed to concentrate on in the area of teaching. In the meantime, this network was changed into this one that I'm giving you a link to, Batele for Kids. And that is also a very good network because it has all those historical resources. So the skills and the new diagram for skills, if you go there, you will find it. Very interesting notion of what we teach. I discover the things that I teach while going through the materials offered on that network. And then Big Deal Media, which has a very good mission, and that I like this mission very much, to save every educator time and money, while identifying top quality resources for schools and classrooms. So I think it doesn't need to be commented on. Yes, and here we have connected educators, another network, and SlideShare. I'm sure that everybody knows about it. I would like to comment briefly on SlideShare. I offer this network, this website to my students as well. When I teach them presentations, I offer them to go there and see how slides are prepared. And this is a very useful method of teaching them. And I tell them, yes, you can use some of the inspiration from these slides, but you are not expected, you are not supposed to use the slides the way they are from there. So this is the way I try to teach my students presentation slides, but also responsibility for your own product and respecting other people's intellectual property. And now our learning process. Here you have some examples of global networks. FutureLearn, which is one of my favorite networks, one of my favorite websites for free online courses. When I started learning on FutureLearn, times were different because you could participate in those courses and materials were available to you later on, but if you didn't pay, which is not very high, it's like approximately $70, you didn't get your certificate for participation. Right now, they have limited the access to materials associated with each of the courses that they offer. So materials are available to you only when you participate in a course. So my method of using FutureLearn, I'm not really interested in collecting certificates. I'm interested in developing my skills, so I participate, I make notes, and then I have these notes in my files to use myself and to share with my colleagues. So FutureLearn, I haven't included here Coursera, also a very, very useful network up to standard courses. What is important while using FutureLearn is that this is itself a very good example of networking. Participating in a course, you act at the level of learning, you act at the level of networking with other participants. Like one of the courses that I participated in was prepared by, as far as I remember, British Council. That was for professionals teaching English at various levels. And there were approximately 50,000 participants from all over the world. And it is really interesting to see what people have to say to you from other corners of the world, but it is also interesting to see how such a course with such a multitude of participants can be managed. Yes, so this is a very good message for us teachers who sometimes feel that in our classroom we have too many students to manage, that even this situation can be made manageable. So I encourage you to click through FutureLearn and maybe you will find something for yourselves. One more remark. When you participate in these FutureLearn courses, you can start earlier and finish later. So it's not that you are limited to the period of time for which the course is specified, and you can work your own speed. So when you are free on one day, you can cover more, and then you can stop, and then you can come back to it later on. So for me personally, as a teacher in the process of continuous learning and teaching at the same time, it was very, very important. Off to class is another example. And some of the European Union resources. I'm quoting eTwining, that is the community for schools in Europe. Maybe you will find something there. And also some of the initiatives of us teachers, yes, like Fiszkoteka, that I'm sure everybody knows about. And doing this, we create synergy effect. Yes, as I said earlier, synergy effect can only be achieved in networked communities. And moreover, it can be achieved much faster and much more efficiently. As you see, I'm one of you. Yes, we could make this infographics after our today's webinar, including the pictures of each of you. That would be an idea. Yes, if you feel like sending me your pictures, we can. I am more than willing to prepare the full version of infographics referring to our today's webinar and putting it on IATEFL website to show our colleagues how in the process of in this webinar we have created synergy effect together. Okay, so this is all I wanted to tell you about today. But at the end of the set, here you have contact to me. There is my Gmail address and there is my official school address. I always encourage my colleagues to use the Gmail address. I even encourage my students to use this one because, you know, I'm in the process of ongoing communication with my students. So there was a moment, some time in the past, when I used only this official email address, and there were so many emails sent to me that it started selecting some of them. So some of them got lost along the way, and I discovered that emailboxes at Krakow University of Economics are not big enough for some of the teachers. And then I decided to move my regular students and everyone who is communicating with me to this Gmail address. And this school email is reserved for those students who are not in touch with me. Yes, so they go to the school website, they see my profile, and they find this email address, and so that's how they use it. Before I stop talking, I would like to offer you 3 more slides. These slides don't belong to the content of our webinar. They come from the workshop which I had for some of my colleagues concerning our individual personal learning networks. And here I have a checklist of ideas that my colleagues came up with while participating in this workshop. And let me just go through these ideas very briefly. So what my colleagues use is peer observation. I use it too. At our university, we have the regular inspections that everybody is afraid of and getting ready for, but which are for the whole lesson. But we also have the so-called drop-ins. When you are visited for 20 minutes by some of your colleagues who observe a chunk from your lesson, and then they make notes. And then we meet, we have special sessions when we meet and we discuss positive, so strengths and weaknesses of every such lesson. And also we are offered opportunities. Yes, and we are warned against threats. So SWOT analysis follows. We get together. We are going to have such a training on Monday, this coming Monday. So I can't wait to see what more I can learn from my colleagues. Then, so in this way, my colleagues are my mentors at the same time. But you can have mentors especially for your younger colleagues. That's a very good idea. They really appreciate it. You can study abroad. You can have one-to-one courses. My example of one-to-one courses is the course that I had. The courses that I've been having for a while already for students with disabilities. there is an office for students with disabilities at our university, and some of them are unable to move. So I have courses for them on Skype, special courses for them on Skype, and believe me, that has taught me a lot. Yes, that being a person who is confined to staying in bed can if you have this power of your brain and this willingness to learn, you can learn. I had one such student who began the course while still being in bed, and then he sat at the desk and that was an additional reinforcement for me as a teacher. TED, that's Lions commencement speech at Stanford by Steve Jobs, so that's what my colleagues offered. On Facebook, Super Belfry, psychological and sociological aspect, group processes, Prezi, DocStock, and then the next one, regular meetings with peers, so this is what we do at our university, seminars, in-house trainings, the same story, employer branding, personal branding, on and offline. Yes, very, very, very nice combination. And online skills. And the tool for it is Periscope. Women Business Network on Facebook. Congress Kobiet, that is my option. I participate, and this way I feel that I learn what is new in the area of women professional development. Very useful psychological coaching and so on. And then FSRE, this is what I learned when I was participating in one of the conferences, and that was a very positive message for me, because they told me that if you can collect at least 50 participants, they are ready to give you training sessions. I was talking to them about training sessions in the area of professional development, so preparing the process of job application or the job application procedure, but maybe they offer some other courses. This is for you to go to their website or write to them and check it up for yourselves. And the final slide, native speakers as mentors to us. This is the notion that we are using for IATEFL annual conferences. There is this process of mentoring and coaching those presenters who appear at IATEFL conferences for the first time in their lives. And that works. The feedback from these presenters is very positive, highly positive. Students sharing their info with teachers, that is something that I really like myself, because I learn a lot from my students, and that is one of those most fascinating elements of teaching. Vocaroo for recording presentations and other tools. Khan Academy, very nice presentations on different subjects. Vsauce in English at the beginning, an intriguing question, and then the topic is developed. So these are the things that you can check for yourselves. So this much from me, and I would like to thank you very much for your participation. And since I am, I am not very good, I'm not so good at technology, and I concentrated on the presentation slides, and I haven't been reading your comments. I kind of glimpsed at some of them, but I see that somebody wrote Khan Academy is great, so I'm sure that this will encourage the participants to have a look and try to use it for yourselves. Thank you very much. If you have any suggestions to me, feel free to send them to me either here or to my own email. If you have any comments concerning this webinar, anything that I should know about, I am more than willing to learn from you, because I would like to be your student at the same time, not just sharing, but also learning and gaining some professional knowledge and skills. Please, those of you who are going to participate in IATEFL 28th annual conference in Gdańsk, you are welcome, and see you there. And if you feel like talking to me there, you will find me there. I will be there for the whole conference. One more thing that I would like to say at the end: stay connected. I am now in the process of preparing the timetable of webinars for the next academic year, school year for some of you, professional tendency. And I am in the process of communicating with both IATEFL Poland group. Many of them have really very interesting areas to share with all of us, but also with IATEFL speakers, the speakers for IATEFL Poland all over the world. So I am communicating with them, and I will prepare the timetable of conferences, the timetable of webinars, sorry, the conference will be organized as well. The timetable of webinars for the next year. Maybe it won't be exhaustive timetable at once, but I will work on it and I will add information. So you are really very welcome to come to check it on IATEFL Poland website. Thank you very much. I see that some people have sent very, very nice, positive reinforcement to me. I see that I will meet Ron at Gdańsk. Ron is also one of those people whom I'm going to ask to go up to and ask for maybe a webinar for IATEFL Poland. So start thinking, Ron. Okay. Okay, the message about women's stereotypes, I fully agree with. Okay, peer I see that not only I'm not the only one who likes peer observation. You like it too. Okay. Okay, I see that Jagiellonian University discourages teachers to use Gmail for RODO reasons. That's interesting. I like this one. Okay. Okay. I see that somebody said that the course was good but expensive. And that Coursera is expensive right now. But FutureLearn, you can participate for free, yes, and you can gain knowledge, so I encourage you to use this. Okay, the recent course that I took part in on FutureLearn was about cultural awareness in diplomacy. Very, very interesting course. The aspects that I wouldn't think about myself, what is important here in diplomacy. Okay, somebody wrote Instagram is very useful. Thank you for this message. Maybe I should try implementing it in my process of communication. Twitter is popular too. It depends on teachers. So remember, I'm there. You can start following me. Okay, very well. Hello to Marta from Nowe Miasteczko, who identified herself. Okay. And I'm going backwards, by the way, with your comments. Okay. And now let's go forward. Let's see what was added or what has been added in the meantime. Yes. See you in Gdańsk. Okay. If anyone is interested, you are welcome to my session Sunday morning. That's what Ron wrote. Yes, Sunday morning session. Okay, thank you, Ron. And now my time limit has been exhausted and I have used up my time limit. That's what I wanted to say. And now back to Marcin. Yes? Marcin, are you there? Hello, hello. I see that we are still in the process of recording. So the final message for you, please stay networked. Don't be afraid of technology. Choose your own technological mix. Make your own professional mix. Be optimistic about what you're doing. I'm sure that this will be especially difficult for teachers in primary schools and in secondary schools. So we teachers at university level are all with you, and we keep our fingers crossed for you. Please don't give up, because if you give up, who will be teaching? Yes, we have this feeling that we have a mission to fulfill, although I have to say that this mission for you is becoming really hard. Okay, so this will be it for today. Thank you very much again. Marcin, over to you. Certificates. Okay, certificates will be sent to you. Certificates will be sent to you definitely. But I need to discuss it with Marcin. If listen, you
Thank you very much, Lucyna. Well done. Thanks a lot to all the participants. And see you in Gdańsk on 20th of September.
Thank you, Marcin. I will send the certificate to you. This is something that I forgot to send to you. Yes, that is my mistake.
No props, but I will resend it to all the participants on the Click Meeting platform and also on Facebook. Okay.
Okay.
See you.
Great.
Bye bye.
See you. Bye bye. Thanks a lot.